this weak Prime Minister has lost control of the borders, lost control of immigration, lost control of spending, debt, and inflation. Now he's lost control of his own cabinet. Yesterday, the Globe and Mail reported that there's a big fiscal feud that has broken out between the Prime Minister and his Finance Minister. At stake is that she wanted to run a gigantic $40 billion deficit, but that was her guardrail. And now this Prime Minister is pushing her through that guardrail and pushing all Canadians off the fiscal cliff. Why?
Let's see him not answer the question.
Speaker, the Conservative leader likes to make up little dramas to try and distract Canadians from the fact that he voted against a tax break for all Canadians. He's trying to hide from the fact that he continues to muzzle his own MPs so they cannot be their community's voices in Ottawa, instead being his voice in forcing them to face billions of dollars in cuts to housing programs. He continues to refuse to get his security clearance because he doesn't want to keep his own MPs safe from foreign interference. That's why he's trying to distract Canadians from what's going on.
Give me a break.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Muzzling, Mr. Speaker. His Liberal MPs are not speaking out against him because he's allowing so much liberty. It's because he's so weak. There's nothing worse than a weak bully. He's now cracking down on his own finance minister, some feminist. On this side of this house, I lead by inspiration while he leads by intimidation.
Yay!
Once again,
House Speaker put his hands up.
my inspiration and stand up for the promise that he made to keep the deficit under $40 billion.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, we see very clearly for the Leader of the Opposition, it's all about him. Well, for us, Mr. Speaker, it's all about Canadians. It's all about giving Canadians a tax break over the next 2 months that the Conservative leader voted against. It's about delivering dental care to 1.2 million Canadians, where 3 million Canadians are already approved to access dental care in the coming year. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, we continue to be there for Canadians. He continues to be there for himself to try and block the help we're delivering to Canadians to make sure everyone thinks everything is broken because he's busy breaking it.
How is he busy breaking it? He has no power. He's an opposition party, you freaking moron.
Order.
You're the government. If anything is broken, it's literally your fault, Trudeau.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He's been Prime Minister for 9
There you go.
Review the chronology. So not even 8 months ago, his minister said the deficit would not exceed $40 billion, the guardrail. Then he went and got his banker friend, Carbon Tax Carney, to become his top economic advisor, stripping the power away from his finance minister. And suddenly, the guardrail was broken. Is he really going to subject his finance minister to the humiliation of reading Carney's fiscal update, which busts through the guardrail?
No! No! They're replacing Freeland in front of our eyes.
Mr. Speaker, this morning, the Bank of Canada announced interest rates are going down yet again. That is terrible news for the Leader of the Opposition, but it's great news for Canadians for whom things will become more affordable. On top of that, a tax break out for Canadians over the next 2 months that the Leader of the Opposition voted against. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because he cares more about his own political interests than he does about Canadians who are struggling. Oh, he'll talk about the challenges Canadians are facing to try and instrumentalize them for his own gain, but he won't lift a finger to help Canadians.
Bro, you are done.
Donald Trump is a bully, and bullies prey on weakness. When Trump says jump, the Prime Minister says how high. And when Trump trash talks Canada, the Leader of the Conservatives repeats that garbage. And when Trump trolls Canada, hundreds and thousands of Canadians worry that they might lose their job. Why won't the Prime Minister fight back and protect Canadian jobs?
The right honourable
He has
Prime Minister.
somewhat of a point.
Mr. Speaker, the job of a Canadian Prime Minister is to stand up for Canadian jobs, for Canadian workers, the Canadian economy. That is exactly what we are doing with a level of serious and a level of focus and, quite frankly, a Team Canada approach that brings together, the Premiers brings together different actors from unions, from businesses, from expertise across the country. That is why we will continue to take this seriously, not freak out like the NDP or repeat the attacks like the Conservatives. We will stand up for Canadians like we have before, as we will again.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Either, Mr. Speaker.
The Prime Minister is doing
Meets
nothing
fiery today.
while Trump mocks our country. Order, please. The honourable member for Burnaby South. From the beginning, please.
Isn't safe either.
The Prime Minister is doing nothing while Trump mocks our country. And doing nothing while Trump threatens good Canadian jobs. I've fought bullies all my life. You have to be strong and not play their game. When will the Prime Minister stop showing weakness? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, a few years ago, during the first Trump administration, when there were tariffs imposed on steel and aluminum workers across the country, we responded reasonably but firmly, and we saw these tariffs removed. We were able to renegotiate NAFTA by protecting not only supply management, but also things like cultural exemptions and the continuity of our trade between our two countries. We did so by taking challenges seriously, but we worked responsibly, and that's what we'll do once again.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Here we go.
Quote, Finance Minister, 2022. This is a line we shall not cross. Then she listed 3 lines. 1, that the deficit would only go down. It went up. 2, that she would pay off the COVID debt. Not only has she not paid off a penny, the debt has gone up. And 3, that the debt to GDP ratio would only drop, and it has risen. Did the Finance Minister voluntarily cross her own lines, or did the Prime Minister push her?
Wow. He has a history of pushing women.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is once again putting on his little dramatic acts because he is trying to distract Canadians from the core facts. Interest rates are down again. Canadians will be getting a tax break over the next 2 months, despite the best efforts of the Conservative leader, who once again, twice this past week, saw that this House has no confidence in him.
You don't elect the Prime Minister, dipshit.
Canadians are now approved for access to dental care for the coming year. These are things that he stood against, but Canadians are getting anyway.
Politicians don't elect the Prime Minister. Get that through your freaking head.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is silencing his own finance minister. She was already wildly irresponsible with the public purse, but not irresponsible enough for him. She wanted to keep the deficit at a already massive $40 billion. He said it's not enough. Canadians are not paying enough inflation, according to him. So once again, did she voluntarily smash through her fiscal guardrail, or did he push her?
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition puts on these little performances because he wants to
Put one on too. You're a drama teacher.
from the facts. We have the lowest deficit amongst G7 countries and will continue to. We are the 3rd largest receiver in the world of foreign direct investment, #1 per capita in the G20, because countries around the world and companies around the world have confidence not just in Canada but in Canadians. Canadians. The question that people should ask is, why doesn't the Leader of the Opposition have confidence in Canada or confidence in Canadians?
He does. That's why he's calling for an election. He thinks Canadians are going to make the right decision.
Colleagues are very enthusiastic to participate, but I'd invite them not to take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians do not have confidence in him, nor does his own party or his own cabinet, nor apparently does the Bank of Canada, which today was forced into an emergency panicked rate cut to confront the collapsing economy. The governor of the bank said the economy is softer than he expected it would be, and despite the fact that inflation is rising, that all four measures of it are above the target, he's being forced to cut the rates to save the economy from outright collapse. When will the Prime Minister stop breaking the economy and call a carbon tax election so we can fix it?
Again, I'm going to ask members not to take the floor unless recognized by the Chair. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mais c'est carrément du
This is
Oh, sug on these, bro.
in English. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, he's just making this stuff up in a way you couldn't believe. Inflation has been within the target range of the Bank of Canada for over 10 months now. This is because we have been there to help Canadians with things like dental care, like a school food program, with investments that are growing the economy in a way that has brought down inflation and allowed the Bank of Canada to cut rates faster than just about any other G7 country. We are there for Canadians. He's the one voting against things.
Give me a break. Come on, Pierre, clap back.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
You know what's up? Inflation's up. Unemployment is up. Inflation is up. It's not only up, every single measure of inflation is now above its target. Unemployment is up. It's at 10% in Toronto now.
Order. I didn't hear any of it. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Please start again.
You know what's up? Inflation's up.
Yep.
All four measures of inflation are now above target. Unemployment's up. In Toronto, it's over 10%. You know what else is up? Housing costs. They've actually doubled. They've risen more than in any other country in the G7. You know what else is up? Food bank use is up. It too has doubled, with 2 million people lined up at the food bank. And you know what else is up again? The promise-breaking inflationary deficit. So why doesn't he tell us, if he's figured out how to count, what the deficit will be this year?
Wow, man. There you go. Yeah, Freeland's hiding today. She's not even there.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one has to take a moment to appreciate how difficult it must be to be the Leader of the Opposition at a time when things are getting better for Canadians. He spends all his time, and has for the past... That's enough.
I'm going to ask members, please.
Pierre's speed scroll on his phone.
From Portage, Lisgar, as well as
Put a bunch of hi Pierres in the chat.
floor,
Hi, Pierre.
unless recognized by the Speaker. I'm going to invite the Right Honourable Prime Minister to start again.
Mr. Speaker, the challenges faced by the Leader of the Opposition is that he spent so long explaining to Canadians that everything is broken that when things start to get better, he refuses to actually help Canadians. He's voted against a tax break for Canadians over the next few months. He's voted against the dental care that's helped already well over 1 million Canadians. He is stuck in a place where, as Canadians are starting to come through the difficult times the global economy has put them in, he needs to continue to talk down Canadians, talk down our economy, and scare people into voting for him. It won't work.
for Bella Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Parliamentary Committee of Justice tabled a report that is literally a trial against Quebec's values, because Quebec is attached to, like most Western countries, to the notion of separating church and state. And I'm wondering what the Prime Minister, to the thousands of Muslims in Quebec who are happy and welcome in their society that has welcomed them, The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we have always defended and will always defend the freedom of ideas, freedom of expression, freedom of beliefs. This is a fundamental value for all Canadians and all those who come to Canada. And this is why on this side of the House, we'll always defend individual rights and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This is clear, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. I'd like to make things a little bit more concrete, Mr. Speaker. Is the Prime Minister backing people who at schools, secular schools in Quebec, are imposing their religion? Is he backing those who are literally bullied because they want to respect the principle of secularism in Quebec schools? It's one or the other. Which one? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, very clearly, we will always defend the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, which are fundamental values for all Canadians and Quebecers, and that is why we're moving forward to defend the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, whether it's at independent universities or elsewhere, every institution has the responsibility of hiring the best possible professors and teachers based on merit, and that's what all Quebecers and Canadians expect.